Hey everybody, this is Mr. Mickey. Does anyone remember how and in which episode G-Man appeared? I'm sure you don't, and that's why we're here. But not just to remember when he appeared, but to analyze his every appearance. Are you ready to dive into the most implausible theories about the G-Man character? Stock up on goodies, because I'm about to start. Our hero's first appearance was in episode 7, in which he suddenly rides out of a cloud of black smoke, humming in the heads of many skibidi dop 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 yes. It's unclear who he is or where he came from, and that uncertainty is intriguing. He then appeared in episode 12 during the fight between the operator and the toilet bowl Skibidi, and here we were shown him in action. He used his lasers and turned the outcome of the battle in his favor, destroying everyone in his path, and here we are given to wonder if the operators have an equally strong weapon against G-Man. In episode 17, we saw the operators ambush G-Man as he was holding a meeting with his generals about what to do next after the upcoming victory. But suddenly, the operators attacked them and interrupted the meeting. How wrong they were to think that this airstrike would hurt G-Man and his council. This only made them angry, and they suddenly attacked the attackers and wiped them all out. In the 20th episode, we are introduced to the secret weapon of the operators of the Operator Titan fighting with toilets. But suddenly G-Man appears and attacks the Operator Titan. He fights back against G-Man, but one of the generals enters the battle and Titan has to retreat to survive. In the 21st episode, we are shown the continuation of the previous fight. Only the action is transferred to the building where the operators interrogate Private Skibidi. But everything is spoiled by the appearance of G-Man in the window, and the interrogation ends with the release of Skibidi. The 22nd episode takes us to the city where the Skibidi army is going on and won't stop. We are shown the attempt to flush G-Man's toilet and thus stop this unbreakable machine. It turns out that he can't be destroyed so easily, and G-Man uses his lasers and thus wins the battle again. In the 33rd episode, we see a new fighter in the army of Skibidi Speaker Man infected with a parasite, and paired with G-Man, they both move through the night city and destroy everything in their path, and no one can stop them. Further, in the 35th episode, we are transferred to one of the headquarters of the operators, where they interrogate prisoners and get rid of the action of parasites on their fighters. And as usual in this universe, G-Man appears with his friend, and the operatives had to react quickly and hide because they can't harm them. In episode 38, we find ourselves back on the battlefield, where an upgraded anti-parasite machine gun appears in the battle, with the help of which the operators want to free Speakerman from the parasite. But suddenly his path is blocked by an upgraded armored G-Man, in armor, and the boys fail again. The 47th episode takes us to the ruined city with active fights. Suddenly, a new TV Man fighter is teleported here. He looks amazing, and it is obvious that he is very strong. The great and invincible G-Man in armor comes out to meet him. They have an incredible battle in which, well, TV Man finally starts to win. G-Man, as always, is not traveling alone. To help him flies one of his most loyal generals. With the help of his saws instead of hands, he cuts off all the speakers from our hero. And here TV Man is weak and without help. But he fights off the annoying Nasiko Mogo and takes up again for G-Man, but he is prevented by Spikerman and hits him with his dagger in the screen. TV Man manages to escape and hides in a portal, and everyone who was there and saw everything dies. Episode 49. In this episode, we see G-Man flying over the city and firing lasers. There is nothing interesting here, so let's move on to the next episode. Episode 57 is very interesting, and we saw the long-awaited battle between Cameraman Titan and Speakerman Titan. I really enjoyed this battle of the Titans, and so let's move on to the episode as we see the battle in full swing and Cameraman wins. But suddenly G-Man appears with 6 lasers instead of 2 and diverts the attention to himself and gives Speakerman a chance to come to his senses. But our brave fighter takes matters into his own hands and attacks his former boss. As you can see, he fails and dies heroically. He was a nice guy and a very good friend. We will always remember you. Episode 57 Part 2. In this episode, we return to the previous episode where our brave fighter sacrifices himself to give precious seconds to Titan's cameraman. Taking advantage of the situation, Titan fights off G-Man 2.0 and takes on the announcer again. At one point we see the same scene, only it's a TV diva as the hero who can disarm the parasite, and I thought that's where it would end. But the Titan operator stopped the speakerman in time, and the TV diva disarmed the parasite, and now the speakerman is free. G-Man watched what was happening. He realized that this battle was lost, and from now on he has no such strong ally. G-Man leaves the battlefield in a rage. After a while, Speakerman comes to his senses, and one of the most touching scenes in the series, in my opinion, takes place. Speakerman sees what he has done under the influence of the parasite. He remembers everything he's done since then and decides to fly away. I realize he needs time to come to his senses. The series ends on a good note, despite the heavy losses among the operators. They got their best fighter back, and now things will be different. In episode 60, we see G-Man in the same ruined city where he, along with Speaker Man, destroyed TV Man. G-Man gets into an altercation with his generals. They start arguing about something, and the Skibidi start attacking their superior. And then it turns out that Skibidi has a new Titan in his army, Skibidi the scientist, who is defending his colleague. I understand that the unit taskers are now feuding with each other, because G-Man has lost a very strong fighter in his army, Speaker Man. I'll let you in on a secret. The scientist is stronger than the Titan operator and Speaker Man combined. Episode 62 begins with the operatives finishing off the remaining unitaskers after a victorious battle, and some of them just playing with the unitaskers, throwing them around like a ball. But suddenly the remaining fighters are attacked by a new army of Skibidi led by Skibidi the scientist. In this episode, we are shown G-Man for a couple frames at all, who in his own way destroys everything in his path with lasers. Thus, we realize that G-Man is no longer in charge. He has become a simple general who fights with his fighters. And the scientist Skibidi is now in charge. And in the next episodes we will see how this will affect their relationship. Episode 64 begins with the arrival of Skibidi's new upgraded toilet machine, which grinds up all enemies in its path. However, she is thwarted by the familiar Titans. G-Man sees all this, and then we are given to understand that G-Man is afraid of them and is not going to die, but sends all his fighters to the known outcome of the battle. He runs away from the battlefield like a coward, thus making us realize that this is no longer the G-Man we saw at the beginning of the series. He's become cowardly and weak, but only because of one lost battle. The series ends with another victory for our couple. And then we come to the last episode, in which everyone's favorite and charismatic G-Man appeared. Episode 65. As we remember from the previous episode, G-Man fled the battlefield, but the Titans followed him. And G-Man unknowingly led them to the scientist, and everyone thought it was a trap, that G-Man did it on purpose. But we are given to understand that G-Man was betrayed and left alone with the two Titans. For repeatedly fleeing the battlefield, he deserved it, realizing that he had no choice but to fight alone against the two strongest Titans. In truth, it looks like an impressive battle, but he can't stand up to the two Titans. Just as Skibidi intended, G-Man dies in the battle. But it turns out that it may not be the real G-Man, but his doppelganger, as there was another unique Skibidi sitting inside, controlling him. So maybe we'll see more of him. And the series ends with the Titans being shot down by a Skibidi missile to destroy them once and for all. But they're not so weak, they survive the attack. If you have any thoughts on this video, let's discuss it in the comments. And if you have a suggestion on what topic to make a video on in the Skibidi universe, let me know. And that's goodbye, thank you for watching and have a nice day.